a handful of post-collegiate athletes out here today. Pretty early start for post-collegiate running, but we want to take advantage of opportunities while you have them. She ran for Illinois State University and now, as I mentioned, is representing BTC, or as some folks might know him, Bowerman. Heard that name once or twice. Nice little pipeline for the Stanford athletes, that's for sure.
We're underway. Like you said, the length of season for most it will end in June, potentially at the U.S. Championships, but for others going on to the World Championships, they may not want to be racing just yet. Still putting in that winter mileage and focusing on building a base and a core and everything else that goes into success. And they're 4 wide, and again, they're on the flat until they hit the first, and hopefully don't hit, but until they approach the first 30-inch barrier.
Yeah, I'll walk you through the starters in this race. Like we said, Lindsay Morse is bib number 1. She's in that black kit on the outside. Number 2 is Alexandra Barber of Portland State. Ira Davis of Western Washington is 3. Oakley Olson of Utah Valley is 4. Anna Hostetler of Liberty is 5. Kaylee Thompson of BYU, bib number 6. Bara Stibolova of Portland State is 7. Eva Rothmeyer of Cal State Fullerton is 8. Rachel Kreitzter of Air Force is 9. Alex Reichert of Colorado School of the Mines is 10. Rachel Victor of Cal Poly is 11. Kiki Connell of Iowa State is 12. Nina St. John of Cal Poly 13. And Madison DeVos of Southern Utah is 14.
So the visuals in this, both for the competitors and the spectators, are so amazing and important. And you'll notice, I'm certain from our camera angles, that the athletes really want to get a good look at that barrier, unobstructed if possible. So they will sort of make the pack breathe, and they'll go out maybe into lane 3 or lane 4 to approach the barrier just to make certain they get a clean shot at going over that, and they don't clip anybody's heel or get their heel clipped and go down, because as Hayden, I think, said before on air, you definitely do not want to make contact with these barriers, whether they're 30 inches tall or 36, because they do not move.
Yeah, definitely not my event, but my head coach in college was Robert Gary, a 2-time Olympian in this event, so I got to watch firsthand a lot of steeplechase training with some of the athletes there. Cam Ponder, one of the better NCAA steeplechasers. Got to watch him. Troy Reeder also made USAs before he broke his foot. I mentioned him earlier. But a lot of steeplechase training I got to watch. You want to accelerate in, accelerate out. It's a lot like the hurdles. But like you said, the difference between the hurdles and the barrier is if you hit a hurdle, the hurdle falls down. You hit a barrier, you fall down. So can't be touching the barriers like you can in the hurdles. A lot of these athletes may be their first steeplechase of the season. Always adds a little bit more complexity if you're jumping over the barrier. You might have jumped over the barriers in practice, more likely jumping over in hurdles to just be a little bit safer. But it's different when you're in a group and you might not be able to see the barrier coming. You're used to it in practice running solo or with a teammate or two.
And again, whether it's the water jump or the land-based barriers, you can step on them. And again, so if you get tired legs at the end, and you know what, 30 inches even to me seems like 4 feet right now. We're going to step on that, push off, and gain some separation and momentum that I need to continue.
Yeah, you'll definitely see some of the better athletes really mastering their technique on the water jump, being able to push off that barrier, extend into the water pit as much as possible, and land on one foot, keep that momentum going. This is one of those events that Americans have done so well at the international scene. Emma Coburn, we mentioned her earlier, 10-time U.S. champion in this event, really revolutionized this event. Showed that you don't necessarily have to be the best 3,000 flat meter runner, as you know, she beats a lot of the Ethiopian Kenyan runners who have much better 3K, 5K PRs, but she's just a better technician. Speaking of technician, we did see a little bit of a stumble there from Lindsay Morse. She starts to hesitate just a little bit. That's the other thing they don't really talk about too much in the steeplechase. We see the barriers, and obviously we know that's complicated, but what you don't notice as much is you take one bad step, you mess up your ankle a little bit, you jam your foot, that's going to impact you for the rest of the race, and that fatigue is going to build up. So that technique, while obviously it helps you run a little bit faster and conserve energy, can also, you have one bad hurdle in the first or one bad barrier in the first couple laps, it can really create some problems later in the race.
And I know there's a misconception out there floating around the track and field community that if you're in the steeplechase because you weren't fast enough for the 1,500 or, didn't have a finishing kick for the 5K. But no, that's not necessarily true. You may have on the men's side the inseam needed to go over those 36-inch barriers without any problem at all. But also you may have good hurdling technique, good flexibility. And one of my favorite stories from doing these live streams for Flow Track a number of years ago, pre-COVID, was up at Grand Valley State in their indoor 300 oval because it was just a brutal winter in western Michigan. And Brian Deemer, who coaches at Calvin, one of the all-time greats in American steeplechasing, I'd asked him how he got started in the steeplechase. He was a close to 4-minute miler at the University of Michigan, and he said growing up on a farm in Michigan, he used to hurdle electric fences. And
Well, that'll teach you not to land on it.
That's right. No contact. Do not. And I was just dying when that All-American, all-time great in the steeplechase gave that knowledge to me. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And he said one time he accidentally hit the electric fence because he didn't realize it was there. So as they go through the water jump, once again, we see the splash and the landing. And I talked about the visuals just for photographers. I know at the Penn Relays, they're all gathered around the steeplechase water jump because you get, again, great photos of the athletes going into that 12-foot-long pit of water that, again, slopes up to track level at the end of that. So you want to push off and get as far out into that water pit as possible.
And that's Rachel Kreitzer trying to make a move up front of Air Force, but it's Isla Davis who holds her off with a little bit of better hurdling technique right there. Davis has a 10:31 PB in this event, representing Western Washington. She's in the lead right now, 17:13 5K PB. And like you said, this historically was an event where you kind of put the athletes that might not be quite as good in the other events, but that's really changed over the last couple of years. I mean, for example, Valerie Constein was eighth in this event in the steeple at USA's, ended up winning the 3K indoors, so clearly a very, very good athlete there who's able to win at a flat race and then jumping into the steeple. I don't know about you, but not many 3,000-meter athletes. I don't know if I was running a flat 3,000, I looked over and saw Emmett Kober and Courtney Wayment and Courtney Furix. You're still in some trouble. Those are some very, very good athletes regardless of the barriers. But it's still Davis in the lead, running very well right now.
That lead group of 6 have separated themselves from the rest of the field. This is the first of 3 sections of the women's 3,000-meter steeplechase, day 1 of the Stanford Invite.
Davis, just a sophomore. She ran a PB in the 1,500 2 weeks ago at the Oregon Preview for 4:36.
So coming up 2 laps remaining, just under 800 meters, but more importantly, those 8 barriers and 2 water jumps. And that lead group of 6 cleanly over.
Rachel Victor there with a little bit of a stumble. She's in second, thinking about moving up into first. She's a transfer from Sacramento State, now running for Cal Poly. She's got an 11:09 PB. A lot of range on her. Ran 2:24 in the 800, 38:01 in the 10K. You don't see a lot of athletes do the 800 and the 10K, but perhaps just trying to figure out what she's best at, getting her feet wet, as they might say in the steeplechase.
And also the strength within the conference. So you know what, I can help the team. And again, scoring points at the conference, that is what so much of collegiate athletics is all about.
Laura Stiblova of Portland State has also moved up. She's a 4:52 miler.
Steeplechase, or the water jump for the last time, coming up 84 seconds the last go-round for our leader. So just about 2 minutes of running remaining.
Stiblova in second for Portland State, helped her team earn second at the Big Sky Indoors in the DMR. Still got a nice pack of 5 women there. 6 really if that last athlete, Victor, can get back into the mix. But 5 women really working well together. Stiblova of Portland State thinking of taking over, but Davis, who has really run this race wire to wire, sometimes that can be such a big advantage in the steeplechase. You get a clear view of every single barrier. You get to set the pace. You get to accelerate in, accelerate out, really run within your own rhythm.
So again, these runners won't be doubling up this weekend. This is their one chance at glory on the Stanford University track. And a big lead change for the first time going into the final 2 barriers and 1 water jump.
That's Steeple of the Czech Republic in the lead, now running for Portland State. Laura Steeple ran at Charles University. You want to pronounce that high school in the Czech Republic for us?
I'll pass. All right, last water jump for Bara Steeple.
Executed well, keeps moving, a little bit of a stumble, something for coach to work on, but keeps the momentum moving, stays on her feet.
And we know the race is not over until you cleanly are over that final barrier, because it can be a lot taller than 30 inches, or it seems that way. Up and over in a big run out, and here comes the field. The close. That is Kiki.
Yeah, that's Ira Davis, who had run so well. Ira Davis of Western Washington. Kiki Connell of Iowa State was who you were going for in second. Great closes by both of them.
Wow. And it looked like with 50 to go that Connell was going to be the one that picked up the number 1 signifier from this event, but no, it is Ira Davis from Western Washington.
That's got to be one of the top times in Division II in that event. 10:24 is the top mark. What was the final mark there?
10:21.
10:21. So we have a new NCAA D2 lead there from Ira Davis of Western Washington. Great racing by her.
Just a sophomore.
Wow, and it is early season, but to already be at the top of the Division II list, that is